Hello, this is Nihilo, and today I wish to respond to a common argument I have seen come up from the anti-GamerGate side. Sticking to my new method where I try to remain fair to the other side and reasonable, I'll try to keep the baseless rhetoric and name-calling to a minimum. So now let's get right to the argument. Modern feminist critics are receiving plenty of criticism as they speak out against what they believe is misogynistic or backwards in the gaming industry. And the common response they give to this onslaught of this response is, well, gamers want games to be considered art. Feminists critique art. Therefore, feminists can critique your games as art. And so the basis of the argument is that criticism should be allowed because it's allowed in the art world, which really just means they want a freedom to criticize. And I think most GamerGate supporters agree with that. After all, they're using that same freedom to criticize to critique the modern feminist criticisms. But I think this argument it's not just poor, but it's dubious in its intent. When criticism is free-flowing, there's a back and forth. I criticize your point or position, you criticize my point or position. But this argument, from how I see it used, is attempting to shut down the response to a critique. They don't want a back and forth because criticism is only good when they dole it out. But I think there are two apparent flaws in the argument, and they ultimately revolve around it being a one-way street for them. Number one, it assumes criticism should be free, whilst pushing for it to move in one direction. This is not a kindergarten class, where you need to applaud Pablo or Tyler for everything they say because feelings. This is a movement where a back and forth is necessary for any intellectual advancement. Why won't the feminists open up that dialogue they so want to have, according to these interviews? It just seems to me that every action taken from that camp, or taken by that camp, is to restrict opposing viewpoints. Number two, it rests on self-refuting logic. I can use their logic to make it okay for me to critique them, thereby counteracting their entire argument. For example, I can say people regularly critique worldviews. Feminism is a worldview. Therefore, it is open to criticism. This essentially erases that idea that they are free from backlash. And I'd prefer it if both sides had something to talk about. So I'm going to give a quick critique of the modern feminist main position, that inclusivity is a good and necessary thing in the industry. On David Pakman's show, Brianna Wu was very clear that she believes inclusivity to be good and that it should be pushed. Gamers disagree with this sort of belief because, well, they don't agree with your form of inclusivity. They don't feel an affirmative action approach or a syntax approach is how gaming should adapt. Instead, most of the people I've spoken to just want games to be fun. If you make a game with a strong female protagonist, you'll be judged on the game. People like Tomb Raider, the reboot of it, because it culminated into a good game. So, we're fine with your desire for better characters. We would simply rather you assimilate into gaming. We want a melting pot, not a cultural revolution. Bring your great ideas, but don't say everybody else's ideas are wrong, and attempt to push an entire medium in only your direction. Grow it outward, not shift the entire gaming beast through your one-way critiques and dogma. So, yeah, there's my response to the artistic response. So share this if you agreed, like it, whatever you want to do. Thanks for listening.